This piece really drove me crazy. As you know, OPEC and the corporations within OPEC and otherwise, they are cutting by 2 million barrels a day the amount of petroleum that will be on the market effective sometime in November. Well, these are corporations and governments creating false shortages to jack prices up, which is what they say they want to do. They want to jack the price up, which means they are saying we want to create inflation. Okay. Now, how does that affect politics? We have all these supposedly learned journalists saying, oh my God. Well, I tell you what, let's listen to what the learned journalists are saying, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Republicans have been focusing on inflation and crime and other issues, and not abortion, of course, which is also the Democrats' issue of this campaign. And now the gas pump, inflation, and prices up 10 cents just in the last week alone on the expectation that OPEC Plus would do exactly what they did overnight, which is the Saudis and Russia announcing big production cuts to keep their prices up. And there's a clear disappointment at the White House. This is going to hurt Democrats.
This is going to be incredibly problematic, Andrea, for the White House, for the Democrats going into the midterm, because it can't get more direct. We all have to put gas in our cars. Our produce, our goods are all affected by this. So this is a very, very hard hit. And I think it can hit in two different ways. I think one, in terms of vote choice for those swing voters, those voters who quite haven't made up their mind yet. This may say, you know what? I like the Democrats, but I just trust the Republicans a little bit more on the economy, on inflation, which is what some of the polling, recent polling has shown. The other thing that I worry it can do is it can decrease turnout. So midterms are notorious for being lower turnout elections, especially with key demographic groups in the Democratic Party. So apathy, frustration from these higher gas prices could make some Democrats who otherwise would have turned out stay home. So I think this is really problematic in all cases, aside from it affecting the most vulnerable in our society yet again after coming off the pandemic and the heavy hit that took.
All right, so let's understand what these reporters are saying, right? They're saying gas prices are going to go up because OPEC created a false shortage that's going to raise prices, something that the Biden administration can't do anything about. Absent doing what many capitalists won't like, which is nationalizing the oil industry, keeping the oil in-house, removing the profit motive from taking our oil. Remember, notice what I'm saying, our oil out of the ground and doing what they need to do, right? So in other words, the solution is there. The oil belongs to the American people. We could nationalize the oil industry. After all, much of the research comes out of college universities, and much of the work floors come from what was taught in college. Yes, a lot of development occurred by corporations. A lot of it is done by federal grants, etc. There is the raw resource itself belongs to the people. It's of the land. So there is a good reason that a critical resource is nationalized and not allowed for a lot of folks to make profits on it, right? And if every single government that has oil nationalizes its oil industry, then they could the people wouldn't have to suffer through giving their monies to rich, wealthy individuals and corporate executives, right? Because remember, when the price of oil goes up, that extra cost isn't in what in producing it or what they have to pay to somebody else. That extra cost based on our economic system, that extra billions of dollars are simply going into the pockets of a select few. And who are those select few? The people who own the companies, the corporations, etc. That's all that's happening here. But these learned journalists haven't told that or explained that to the American people. Moreover, the thought that, well, apathy is going to be greater among the Democrats because gas prices go up and they're going to feel that, oh my God, I might as well stay home because gas prices are high and Democrats are not going to do anything about it, or it doesn't matter, I don't have a say. why aren't if it's a mistrust in the intelligence of the American people? Tell them the truth. The other one says, well, and others may decide to swing to the Republicans because they may have a feeling that Republicans will do better for the economy. Journalists don't have to ask that question or make that statement. Journalists are there to report. They should be there to tell Americans the economy does better under Democrats. It's not even a dispute. We have all the studies that's been out for president after president after president that proves the economy has always done better in the aggregate under Democrats. The master that they like to talk about, the Reagan miracle or whatever, never really was. In fact, we should have been talking about the Clinton miracle, who cleaned up after Reagan and Bush, balanced the budget, and also increased taxes on the wealthy. And we had the greatest job numbers ever created in American history under President Clinton. Someone I'm not necessarily fond of, but that's the answer. But that Americans don't know that when American thinks a bunch of jobs created, they think Reagan. They should be thinking Clinton. When they talk about the maximum amount of jobs created under presidencies, it occurred under Democratic policy. So when these reporters say, oh, most Americans think that they'll do better under Republicans, it means that reporters themselves have been putting out the Republican lies. So folks, you're not going to get it from the mainstream media. They're going to be there kowtowing to the corporate structure. Because the idea is, if we continue to get Democratic policy after Democratic policy after Democratic policy, the continued pilfer that occurs by the wealthy over the masses, that whenever they need an extra buck in their pocket, they simply create inflation. They simply increase. And then when the feds are there to clean up inflation, they increase interest rates, and they make a whole bunch of money on the increased interest rates again, because who is the one loaning the money? The wealthy folks. They get more money from interest. And when the feds increase the interest rate by X amount, there's a multiple that the banks increase theirs by, more money for them. The mainstream media is so derelict in its duty. So derelict in its duty that it has allowed fallacies to hurt the people they claim to support, or the people they're supposed to be serving. That piece, a lot of people would just look at it and say, oh yeah, Biden is going to be in trouble because gas prices are going up, etc. Instead of saying gasoline prices, if they go up after November, will be the result of extortion by the corporatocracy via OPEC and others. We have a solution, and that is every country that has oil should really nationalize their oil, and in the case of the United States, ensure that our oil, which we are completely self-sufficient in oil, we export energy. We don't have to import anymore. We should keep it all internal and nationalize it. We will have an immediate drop in gasoline prices. I don't think we should drop it too much because we don't want to have a disincentive from going green to save the planet, but we burn the most gasoline, etc. So folks, please go out there and vote all progressive. Vote all progressive the most progressive as you can. And for every election going forward, we have to keep doing the same thing, nurturing progressive politicians and making sure that we give them the support that they need to go out there and win. And secondly, you have to support the means that provide truth to the American people, instead of having to listen to all these reporters. And again, it's to some extent, it's not even their fault. It is how they're taught. Listen to what she says. She's a journalist, and she said most people believe that the Republicans would be better for the economy, and that's fine. It's fine that most people believe that. But the next sentence that should have come after that is, but you know, Andrea, all research that are based on the factual data that we have out there proves that actually the economy does several points better under Democrats, and also because Democrats provide assistance generally to the poor and middle class, they do better under Democrats in general. That is what should have come after. Most people believe that. It is our jobs as journalists to put the truth out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.